this is the right class for it. Because there's two. Yeah, this is it. This is the right class, yeah. Okay, cool. So how's everybody? Good to hear. Good to hear. So our guest lectures continue today with Chad Tonko, who is the head of a medical college, right?
That's correct, yes.
So I've given them just very little introduction about you, so feel free to give a little bit more intro yourself and then dive in on the questions.
Perfect. Well, hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Chad Tonko, as what Dr. Woods mentioned. Actually, this is great. It's kind of homecoming for me. I did my undergrad here at CSUB, so it's really nice to be able to walk through BDC again and parking lot G right next door. So, but anyways, I'm the CEO at Southern California Medical College. We are a vocational training college for nurses specifically. We've been around since 2007, and that's what we specialize in, is literally just nursing. So at this point in time, from 2007 till, say, current, we've been offering vocational nursing classes. So if you're not familiar with the nursing hierarchy, if you will, it's essentially a step below an RN. So what we have here at CCB is the Bachelor's of Science degree in nursing, and essentially that is basically the top echelon of a nursing degree that you can get after or before you get your graduate degree. So we're at currently licensed vocational nursing, and then we're going to move up starting June in the next couple of months. We're going to start offering the RN to BSN program. So basically what that is we're going to be able to bridge the BC grads into getting their Bachelor's of Science degree online to be able to help supplement what CSUB is doing here. If you are not familiar with the nursing market, it is pretty crazy right now and how impacted it is. It's pretty difficult to get in both BC and CSUB. And so, give you a perspective, a broad perspective. Last year in 2016, there was about 5,000 plus nursing openings, job openings in Bakersfield. Both CSUB and Cal State combined only produced 249 graduates. And so we are definitely in need of more nursing workforce. And what that means for an admin standpoint, especially in the healthcare administration standpoint, is we're using a lot more capital or labor overhead because we're hiring a lot more travel nurses. Travel nurses tend to make a little bit more than half of what typical nurses can make here locally. So on average, a graduate from CSUB can make about $35 to $37 an hour at our local hospitals, both at Adventist Health and Dignity Health. A travel nurse can easily come in at $70 an hour. So if you can imagine, on the labor standpoint, overhead as an admin, that's pretty rough. That's a nightmarish situation when literally but about 30% of your workforce, is in the traveling workforce. So, anyways, with that said, that's kind of what we're about. I looked over the questions. Dr. Woods sent me over them, and those are phenomenal questions. And is this an entrepreneurial class?
Yeah, it's a small business management class.
Okay, fantastic. And is every single one of you guys wanting to start your own business eventually? Is that, no? Okay. And you're just taking it as a prereq possibly? Yeah, okay. Gotcha. I feel you in that one. Well, bear with me as I go through the questions. And again, it's an honor to be here with you guys. The first question is, and I apologize if I butcher your name, but feel free to holler at me and correct me anytime. Abdullah Shaya, is that right? No, okay, he's not here. But the question is, are your programs limited to nursing certification only? At this point, that is correct. Again, it's only vocational nursing, but come June, we're going to start offering the Bachelor's of Science degree in nursing program online. And so you'll be able to do that in 12 months if that's what you'd like to do after your associate's degree. Apart from your website, do you use other means to advertise your institution, and which ones? By the way, if there's any additional questions as I'm answering these ones, feel free to interrupt me. Super easy. I know you're probably thinking, man, you look like you're 18, because I am. No, I'm just kidding. I'm 28, and I'm a fellow millennial. And so seriously, I totally get it. Just holler at me, no problem. All right, it's actually refreshing. I just got out of a board meeting, and then I came here. It's refreshing to be with people sort of my age, and so it's really nice to connect with you guys again. So apart from your website, do you use other means to advertise your institution? Institution, and which ones? To be quite honest, we don't have any large marketing campaigns out there. A lot of our marketing comes from word of mouth, and it's all organic stuff. And so what our graduates typically do is, they obviously tell their parents, their cousins, and their coworkers at work. And so that's kind of how we fill in or fill up our classes. So no, other than the website, the answer is no. We have little brochures here and there. We are a small college. We're looking at about 60 to 80 students a year is what we have, but we keep the cohort small because we focus more on the quality rather than the quantity. So we really want to ensure that we have quality nurses coming out. Sorry, I keep on.
No, you're fine.
Yeah, coming out of our programs. How are you investing in gaining more capital or IE students? Again, great question. That I will be able to answer by simply being student-centric. Consumer-centric is our ideology when it comes to providing the best possible education that we can. So from the very onset of an applicant wanting to inquire about our programs, walking into our campus, we ensure that they get the positive vibe. We want to also ensure that they get comfortable, because as students, like you guys, you'd only want to go to a college or a specific school if you're comfortable about something, right? If you're comfortable going there. I know I checked out Taft when I first moved to Bakersfield, and I checked out BC, and it just didn't fit me right. So I ended up going to CSUB, and I just felt at home here. And so we try to emulate that at our college as well. So to make them feel, since we're small, we try to make them feel a part of our family, which eventually does happen. Do you expect international students with scholarship in this college? We've actually thought about that at one point in time, where we'd bring over some ESL students from either Japan, Korea, or even China. But at this point, we've kind of put that in the back burner. But I think where we're going, we're probably not going to end up doing that, because we're switching our model to degree granting courses. So we'd like to focus more on our local market right now, and then probably in the next 10 to 15 years, as we evolve and going towards our graduate degrees. And the big picture is to eventually have facilities that we own, so that we can send students there for clinical rotation. So maybe at that point, once we need workforce to come in, then we'll consider that. What makes you a primary choice over other medical colleges? Fantastic question. So you may have heard about our industry, and it's pretty unfortunate that there's a lot of people that the biggest, let me backtrack. So the biggest temptation in our industry is profitability. I mean, a lot of these trade schools like us are for-profit colleges. So by its organization itself and how the company was started and founded, they're there to make profit. So the biggest problems, like you may have heard of Corinthian colleges or even ITT, they end up closing their doors because they end up really just, for lack of a better term, raping people. People would come in and they would take up all their GI bills, or they would take up all their financial aid, and then produce them with a subpar degree that really won't get them a job at the end. And so for us, again, being in nursing, I think helps us a lot, because there is a significant job market out there. As we speak today, we're 100% placement rate for our graduates. So if you graduate from our school within 30 days after you pass your board exam, because there's a state board exam that you need to pass, within 30 days, typically our graduates get hired by our clinical affiliates. So locally, we're affiliated with Bakersfield Heart Hospital. We have also, I'm blanking out, Rosewood, Crestwood Behavioral Care for Psych or mental health. We also do Bakersfield Rehabilitation Center. We have as far as Delano Regional Medical Center, San Dimas Medical Group, and a few others that I can't really think of right now. But so we plug in our students or our graduates in those facilities, and they do a really good job because of the need in absorbing our graduates. Also, since we've been around since the last 10 years, they've seen our graduates perform. Some of our graduates that graduated a few years back are now in management positions, and so they're hiring our graduates. So it kind of helps out our current graduates, with being recognized from graduating at our facility. What is the most difficult part about owning a trade school? I'd say I have to go back to maintaining quality over quantity, and then also prioritizing students rather than profitability. At the end of the day, as a business guy, you have to manage margins to be able to stay open, right? But at the same time, be able to keep that contained, that you don't, tempted to go the other way as the other colleges have. And there's only one route. The Department of Education, as well as our governing body here in California, they're called the Bureau for Private Post-Secondary Education, as well as Board of Vocational Nursing and Psychiatric Technicians. They're really good in cracking down on these kind of colleges. We call them the predatory colleges that end up just taking people's money, and we don't want that. And we see this as an opportunity. Myself, our executive team, and in our board see this as an opportunity for us to go against the grain, if you will, and show that there are a lot of other institutions, for-profit institutions like us, that truly do care for their students. Okay. What is the most satisfying part about your job? Seeing students come back or graduates come back and teaching with us. That is, yesterday I just interviewed one of our grads from 2010, I believe. He's now a nurse, an RN at San Joaquin, now Adventist Health, Bakersfield. And now he's coming back to give back to fellow students. So it's really neat to see them progress through the nursing career. So for me, that is definitely the most rewarding part, and I think I'll be able to share that or say that on behalf of my team as well. And then, what is the most difficult part of being the owner? I think it's the same thing, the temptation of not being greedy and not wanting to put profit over quality of instruction and providing quality education to our students. And then on the business side of that, just making sure you manage your people right, hiring people, the right people to be in the right positions. A lot of times in our industry, we go by tenure, especially in healthcare administration, right, in seniority. And so, if you've been in education for a while, then you'll have a better chance in getting hired, especially if you've been in nursing for a while, in our terms. But for us, I tell our team that we go towards character more than skill, because character you can't really teach, and skill you can. I'm going through graduate courses at Stanford right now, Graduate School of Business there, and the program I'm going through specifically is called LEAD. So it's Learn, I'm blanking out. It's called Learn, Accelerate, Interact. No, I forget what it is, but it's something learn. Okay, so the A part is accelerate, and the D part is disrupt. And so it's essentially what it is you work with different VCs, right, around Silicon Valley, and then also you have classmates from all over the world. I mean, executives from China, from India, Australia, and you're learning all of the different cultures and how they go about their business processes and systems and stuff like that. Well, that's what it is. Learn, engage, accelerate, and disrupt. And so for us, what we're learning right now is how do we navigate through hiring the right people. The industry now has moved from really taking on IQ, establishing whether the person has a high IQ or not, to now emotional intelligence. How is a person able to handle different situations? And are they able to do so smoothly or without problems? And I think that's the biggest part for me as the owner, is making sure that the team stays cohesive. And then if we do have to hire someone else, then that person will be able to fit in within that team. Because otherwise, it's really hard. And then also for me, keeping the ego in check for sure. Because in business, you don't know everything. You can't think that you know everything. Otherwise, you're going to be in trouble. So my take is hire people that are way better than you in things that you're not good at. And so I'm a big picture person, and hence a lot of entrepreneurs kind of have that similar trait. Is that you have this big idea, and then the challenge is how do you get on the ground and get that idea running. And so for me, I needed people that are a lot more detail-oriented and analytic. I can be really analytic, but I need them to really just focus on analytics as I continue to focus on the big picture. So we hired people that did that, that are better in analytics and more detail-oriented than me. And then also, I'd say another thing would be just making sure that your people are ethical about everything that they do, and keeping them accountable, and making sure that they are doing what really is needing to be done. No shortcuts, because at the end, that shortcuts will eventually bite you in the butt. Do you recommend people to attend a trade school instead of a university? Great question. I think there's two different models. At the end of the day, obviously, when it comes to our education system here in, or post-high school education system here in the United States, a lot of people, like you and I, are, all for traditional education or universities and colleges. And a lot of people tend to want to just focus on a specific trait or a specific skill that they want to work on or enhance. So with that said, it depends on what you're trying to accomplish, what you're wanting to do. If you're wanting to just get into a job, then trade schools are definitely a school or a route that you'd like to take or even consider. And then if you want to be a part of a more traditional setting where you really would like to get a degree and focus on studying in depth about whether it's business or psychology or sociology, whatever it might be, I would say a university is good. Some trade schools could be used as a supplemental, but there is a need for both. Like for trade schools, essentially a lot of the programs are accelerated. Okay, like to give you an example, for us, our LVN program, which would take 2 years at the adult school and 2 years also at BC, can be finished at 13 months. Do you have a question? Sure. Yeah. We also do CNAs. Yeah, but majority of our student population are LVNs. So CNAs are certified nursing assistant, and that's an entry-level position in the nursing field. That program literally is 2 months long, and then you take your state certification test, and you can start working at hospitals or facilities. The pay range for that one, though, is roughly around $12 to $15, sometimes $16 an hour, just depending on the facility you're at. But going back to the question, again, it just depends on you. You have to plan out your career. During the admissions process at our college, we ensure that we tell each applicant, at the end of the day, you do what's best for you in your career because you know where you want to go, you know your goals. And so if you think an accelerated course would help you out with your goals, then we'd be more than happy to help you out. And if you think you want to specialize more on, like a broader in-depth study into a specific industry or topic or subject, definitely a university or a college setting, would work out better. Do you believe learning a certain trade and being really good at it may be better than a degree? Man, that's an age-old question, I think, in our industry, right? There's a lot of educators that can banter back and forth and have debates whether it'd be better to go through that or or have a larger scope of knowledge or be specific. I'd have to speak from my own opinion. My major when I was going through Cal State was nursing, and so I was never in any business classes except for economics, which I dropped because it was terribly boring for me. So the first day, ever I walked in Econ 101 here, and I was like, I can't do it. It's like learning a whole new language. So, but I did get into healthcare administration side, and I easily learned the business aspect of it. So with that said, I don't think so. I can't say that it's better to specialize on one thing unless you're a PhD like, Dr. Woods here, who wants to focus more on management and on the business side of management. So, yeah, that's going to be completely up to you too. For me, I'd much rather do a broader knowledge when it comes to a specific topic, like if that makes sense. Like, right now I'm again taking graduate courses at Stanford for business and executive education. So, with my nursing background and now business, I think it helped me out a lot, rather than just being focused on business, especially being in the industry that I'm given or are in right now. Southern California Medical College has been a very successful organization. As an owner and head leader, could you share something about the organization or a personal project you feel very proud of? I'd like to say the turnover of our NCLEX pass rates. So prior to 2014, we were essentially in trouble with the state, basically because we performed below the state average of 70%. So if you don't perform within 70%, the state again will crack down on you like no one's business. We have quarterly board meetings with the state, and so what typically happens with the schools that get into that unfortunate category is they literally get called up in front of the whole board, and it's a public meeting. And so you've got students from different colleges, directors from different colleges, from all over the state, and they call you up and they literally grill you in front of everyone. And it's the most humiliating, nerve-wracking thing you'll ever go through as an administrator, school administrator that's involved in healthcare or nursing in general. And so we had to go through that. Our director of nursing had to stand in front of the board, the full state board, and gosh, it was nuts. And so from that point on, we shifted our focus. It was a deep conviction of mine to really focus on the state pass rates, making sure that our students pass the board exam. And in doing so, in 2014, we had 100%. And then I saw someone noted, the decline from 100% to in 2015 now 80%. And then in 2016, the most recent year, we're up at 86%. So with that said, it's literally the challenge there is making sure that, as students, because, I was a student, I was able to literally mask it, to where I feel like I know what I'm doing. But when it came to the test, I really didn't know the concepts that I needed to know. So really digging in deep and making sure that each student is truly prepared for that. And so seeing that turn around is definitely a proud accomplishment, because now the students' time, their money, their efforts is now being able to, their return of their investment is now coming to play. So to give you a perspective, our total tuition cost right now for the vocational nursing program is $26,000. The average pay for a new grad as an LDN is between $55,000 to $57,000 a year. So you kind of almost double your investment, and I think that's the whole point of going, getting your education is eventually, be able to get your investment back. And so you always, when choosing a career or when choosing a trade college, you always want to look at that kind of metrics to ensure that it'll be worthwhile of your money and your efforts. Did you personally get your education in a trade school as well? If so, did you graduate feeling sufficiently prepared to your own school? Unfortunately, I did not. So again, I went through here and now at Stanford. But my brother did. My younger brother did go through our college, and he's now getting his RN degree in Idaho. And so, and I want to say about 85% of our graduates, roughly about 85% of our graduates, they do end up taking a bridge program from LVN to RN. And so they come back, and share their experience. And basically what it is whatever you learn in vocational nursing in our program, you'll eventually relearn it back in the RN program, because nursing concepts are nursing concepts. Whatever it may be, whether it's your activities of daily living or your nursing diagnosis or things of that nature, it's going to be the same as an LVN and RN. So it definitely prepares them to gain a higher degree. Yes, ma'am.
I just had a question on be on there.
Yep.
But can you tell us how you manage your time, having the job that you have and going to Stanford? Like, I'm not sure how many classes you're taking, but I know, like, for me personally, managing my time is really, really tough, taking 6 classes and working and then trying to get an internship.
Sure.
So can you tell me how you manage, and then trying to do my side business?
Yeah.
Can you tell me how you manage your time?
Absolutely. So thankfully right now my wife and I, we don't have kids yet, and so I'm able to a bit more focus on both my work and studies. But to answer your question, I'd have to refer you to a book called An Effective Executive, because at the end of the day, it's by Peter Drucker, and he's a Stanford University professor in business. You're probably familiar with him. Yeah, and so this book literally helped me out manage my time wisely. At the end of the day, he breaks it down into labor workers and knowledge workers. So if you're in business and if you're in an office and you're doing paperwork or you're doing analysis of some sort, then you're considered a knowledge worker. If you're in management or whatever it might be, or even an admin assistant, you're a knowledge worker because you're not doing anything manually. And so with that said, a lot of us fall in that category. And so he teaches knowledge workers how to best prioritize their time. And so for me, what I've specifically done is I've broken my days, Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, into different portions and priorities within the company, and also my schooling. So let's say on Mondays, I typically focus on operations within the college, and then on Tuesdays I focus more on the financial aspect of the college, and then on Wednesdays I focus more on the community portion. Now Thursdays I end up doing a lot more business development stuff, and then Fridays I go over the things that I've missed, And so my classes, since it's online, a lot of it, and it's an executive education course, we have the flexibility to go on whenever throughout the week, so it's not a set date set time like this. So I typically go on, check out my courses that I need, or assignments that need to be done, or projects on Fridays, because those are the days that that I've allotted for that kind of stuff. So there are, as an owner and as an entrepreneur, like you are right now, there are obviously going to be days where it's outside your control and you have to stay in the office till 10 p.m. But you just try your best to limit those. Like last night, I didn't get home till midnight. So it's just one of those things where you just try your best. But time management is key. It's called The Effective Executive, by Peter Drucker, and it's a phenomenal book. And you'll learn so much in how to manage your time wisely, especially as you go into your knowledge worker position. Why did you choose this job? Do you enjoy? What do you enjoy with your job? So the college was founded by my folks in 2007. I actually started at the company, at the college, as a front desk receptionist as I was going through college, and then a position open for an admin rep position, or admissions rep. Yep, admin rep position, and my parents never gave me anything, and so I had to apply for it, and then it helped me out a lot. So from admin rep, I went to finance officer, and then an operations position open, so I took that, and then after that another one. I had to apply for everything. Director of operations after that, and then eventually landed a chief operating officer position, which I held for about 3.5 years, which is the most difficult part, I think, because getting into the operations aspect, that's when we had to literally focus our time in the quality. That was in the middle of the state conundrum, so it was pretty crazy. But I forgot the second part of the question. What do I enjoy with my job? I think just seeing our students succeed, and being able to go out there. It's on our website. We truly believe that by attaining a higher level of education, that they'll be able to attain a higher standard of living. And I think at the end of the day, the United States of America is giving us so much opportunity. I actually was born in the Philippines and didn't come here till I was about 12 years old. And so when my family and I migrated from the Philippines to here, it was pretty difficult. My dad had about $5 in his pocket. He was a physician, practicing physician back in the Philippines. But here, he had to go through residency again, to get his medical license up to date. So to him, there's no way, after practicing for 12 years, you don't want to go through residency again, because you're treated like crap and you get paid like crap. And so we started from nothing. And looking back, even though the Philippines is a third world country, there are opportunities, but unlike any other countries I've ever seen in my life. I've been to Europe, United Kingdom, Belize, Mexico, things of that nature. There's nothing that can compare to the United States and how we are able to literally have the freedom to do whatever we want, and pursue our dreams. And I think that is the most amazing thing. When I was going through CSUB, I had the honor of having Dr. Jeremy Adams as my professor for political science. And it was one of the most life-changing classes I've ever taken, because fully realizing what we have here allowed me to get the perspective that, man, literally 95% of the world don't have the opportunities that we have here in the United States. So, regardless of what state you're from, or what the current state government's doing when it comes to policies and laws and things of that nature, I truly believe that the United States still has the American dream alive. So I think it's phenomenal. What were some of the legal obstacles you had to overcome to run a medical trade school? Great question. In the state of California, which is the most highly regulated state when it comes to healthcare education and nursing in the whole union, we literally had to wait about 18 to 24 months to be able to start before we were able to start first class, because you go through accreditations and approvals for that long, And so, on a business standpoint, the challenge was, how do we remain open in paying rent, without having to be able to bring in students in the middle of this approval time frame. And so it was pretty difficult. You kind of just have to crawl your way through. And at the end of the day, as an entrepreneur, your convictions and your passions has to be stronger than the obstacles that you have in front of you. You can't quit ever. You just can't quit. I can't tell you enough how many times, as young as I am, it's pretty difficult. Again, I alluded to it earlier. In the healthcare industry, it's about tenure, and it's about how long you've been in it. And so, coming in as a 28-year-old, at that point, as a COO, I was 24 years old, I think it was. And coming into different executive meetings with hospital administrators, it was hard to gain that respect. And I've gotten rejected numerous times. I can't even count. You just have to keep on going. You just have to keep on pursuing and pushing it. And again, your convictions need to be stronger than your obstacles in front of you. What has been the most rewarding part of owning a medical trade school? I think it's just going back to seeing our graduates, get into the nursing field and seeing them succeed. Again, majority of them now are in management positions, so walking around different hospitals and different facilities and seeing them there is definitely rewarding. How does your trade school program differ from the nursing program here at CSUB? It just goes back to it being more accelerated. So a traditional Bachelor's of Science degree nursing program can go for about 4 years minimum and then 5 years maximum, or even 6 depending on the availability of the courses. So for us, majority of the students that we take on already have finished their prerequisite courses. Therefore, we're able to just focus on the core nursing ones and get them out. So, like our online program that we're getting ready to launch in June, it's an RN to BSN program, and it's literally 12 months long, and you get your Bachelor's of Science degree from Associate's degree in nursing in 12 months. So, following your NCLEX pass rates, it has declined from 100% to 80% on 2015. How do your college think about this result and manage it? I think it just goes back to ensuring that each student is prepared, and putting parameters before they could even take the board exam. So one of those parameters that we've implemented is creating an exit exam structure. So basically, each student needs to pass 2 exit exams. The first exit exam needs to be passed within 85% or higher, and the second exit exam needs to be passed within 90% or higher before we even forward their paperwork to the Board of Nursing for them to be able to test on the state board. So a lot of our students, they get held up by those exit exams, but that's what allows us to filter and to ensure that our pass rates remain above 70%. My personal goal, my team, our personal goal is to stay above 90% as much as we could. So we made a step, a progress forward last year from 2015. Again, we went up from 80% to 86%. And so hopefully in 2017, we'll be able to cross that 90% mark again. And again, just be known as that quality institution. What are some of the career paths that an individual can look into once graduating from this college? So since we have vocational nursing program and the CNA program, there's really 2 specific ones that you can get into. However, once you enter the nursing workforce, you will have a lot more options, if you will, because a lot of people like us, we typically view nurses as people that work on bedside, right, in different hospitals. They work on the floor and they do bedside nursing. There's seriously a ton more different positions that nurses hold in different organizations. A lot of them can do case management. Basically, what that is when a patient is leaving a hospital, they're the ones who manages the care post, stay in the hospital. And then we have nurse administrators that obviously, focus on the overall care that the floor nurses provide. There's so many different things. You could even go through home health nursing, where you service people at their home, and go through an agency, or you can do travel nurses, and make a lot of money. So, and then graduate courses, you've got your nurse anesthetist that can, start at $130 an hour. So you're up there with the anesthesiologist and, in the ER or OR, and you're doing all that fun stuff. So, there's just, it's crazy the amount of options and the opportunities that you have in nursing. How difficult was it to open up your college, and how many different steps did you have to take to open it? I want to say in the 24 months, we had about 3 different approval stages from the state of California alone. And then you have to go through a separate approval from the Board of Psychiatric Nursing, and then vocational nursing, and then also the Board of Post-Secondary Education. So it's pretty difficult, and now we're just going through our national accreditation, which will allow us to finally be able to take on financial aid to be able to help more students. Because right now, until this day, it's only been privately funded, if you will. So a lot of our students pay out of their pocket with parents' help and stuff like that. So all the more we want to ensure that we give them the most quality education we can. How do medical colleges like these compete with other medical schools? What separates this college from the rest? I think that's a two-point question. Really, essentially, the first part is what kind of trade or what kind of specialty do you focus in? And so for us, we focus on nursing. We have what we consider one direct competitor in Bakersfield, and that's Santa Barbara Business College. But again, by their name, they're a business college by trade. So them venturing out to nursing for us wasn't really a threat, essentially because we know that we specialize in nursing and nursing alone. So other than BC holding the vocational nursing classes in adult school, we don't see them as competitors because they're government funded and subsidized, and so we're really there to try to supplement that. But other than other private institutions here, I can't think of any. What separates us from us? We're a lot smaller, really. A lot of our competitors are chains. They have different campuses all over. For us, we focus in Bakersfield in the Kern County market, and then secondly, it's a lot easier for us to control. As me being the CEO right now, to ensure that we're not going to fall into the lusts of wanting to gain more profit. So that's that. So we don't have an administration that pushes profit over quality. What types of services do you provide students to assist them with the transition from vocational school to industry? Fantastic question. We have indirect placement services. So basically, if we have a cohort, like this June, we have a cohort graduating, we basically call up our clinical affiliates and let them know, hey, we have a cohort graduating in June. If you need nurses, let us know, and we'll plug them into you once they pass their board exam. And that typically works for us. So again, to date, it's been 100% placement, thankfully, because of how the industry is in dire need of nurses here in our area. Is it harder for students to get a job graduating from a trade school? Depends on the trade school that you go to, and depending also on their reputation within that region that they're operating within. So for us, again, thankfully, our clinical affiliates respect us and we respect them, and so they tend to hire nurses almost immediately, or graduates almost immediately. So we haven't seen that problem yet. Knock on wood. And so it's been great, and we've really just enjoyed the journey here in Bakersfield. And then lastly, are there any ethical concerns that your type of business must deal with? I think I went over that when I focused on, or when I mentioned that unfortunately a lot of our schools in our industry tend to fall into profitability and focusing on the margins rather than quality of education. So once you get to that point, greed would be the best word for it. Once you get greedy, then it's going to be all downhill from there. So I think in all of business, you want to stay away from the temptation of getting greedy, because at the end of the day, I think an individual should go into business because of their passion for that industry, rather than or even disrupting that industry. Making things differently. Or doing things differently rather than for money, because money will come as you focus on your trade. And I think with these new startups now, we're doing a lot of case studies at Stanford with like the likes of Facebook and Tesla and all these things. There's one common denominator that these startups really do have, and it's they disrupt the market. Amazon is literally taking over the retail industry by storm, right? Our malls are, Bloomberg just released an article yesterday that our malls are dying at a significant rate, because a lot of shopping is happening online now. Amazon is getting into the grocery market. I think Walmart's in trouble. I think that they have to be able to somewhat combat Amazon in that regard. I don't know if you guys saw this, but Amazon opened up a store in Washington where it didn't even entail a single person working there. It's all animated. You literally walk in as a person, you take an item, and then you scan it a barcode and walk out. And so, they're really trying to automate things now, and so disrupting the market unlike any other. So, if you are in this entrepreneurial class for a reason, because you're an entrepreneur at heart, the biggest thing that I could share with you, based on what I'm experiencing at Stanford, is don't be afraid to be different from the current status quo, if you will. A lot of it is being a young entrepreneur. A lot of it falls into, I'd like to say, managing expectations in everything that you do. So there's different stereotypical perspectives, or perceptions rather, about a person, and so being able to manage those wisely, and also at the same time, following your heart and your goal, and making sure that you push through with it. So it's in China right now. They have a big push in the startup market, and they're trying to emulate what we have in the United States. The biggest hurdle that from my classmates I'm hearing there, different executives and all that in China, the biggest hurdle in China is, unfortunately, they're still a communist country at the end of the day, even though they have a free trade, almost a free trade program or deal there. So we still have that advantage here in the United States that capitalism is key, and we can pursue whatever we want. So I think that's it for me. So thank you.
Your timing was perfect too, because it's exactly the end of the class.
Perfect. Awesome.
So that's it for today, folks. No class on Friday. So I will see you all next Monday. And you, I will see at 5:30.
Different.
Yeah, it's on the other side of campus.
Okay.
It's
Awesome.
the basement of the library on the east side.
Okay. Yep. Okay.
The ITV studios.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
You know.
All right,
You
I'll
went
be
here.
there. Yep. Thank you, man.
Perfect. No problem.
Yeah. Hopefully I did
Thank
okay.
you.
Yeah. Absolutely. We'll see you later.
Yep.